Hi viewers. Hello viewers. Happy weekend. I hope you guys are having an awesome time, maybe resting at home this weekend. I want to specially welcome you to Weekends with Meg Inspires. Maybe this is your first time, maybe this is not your first time, but I'm super excited that you're watching this video. I'm super excited that you had the time to join us today. My name is Meg Thomas, and I am going to be anchoring the episode for today. We have been on a journey. For those of you that has been following me, we have been on a journey, and for 2 weekends now we've been talking about how to change your thinking pattern. Remember, I said in my last video that if you would have to make a difference in your world, then you have to be able to change the way you think. It starts with you. If you cannot change the way you think, you cannot change your world. You cannot make a mark in your world. You cannot make a difference in your world. So it starts with the way you think. It starts with you cultivating the right mentality. And so far we have talked about different types of thinking pattern. We said we're going to start with different types of thinking patterns before we go into something else. We've talked about the big picture thinking. We've talked about the creative thinking. We've talked about the strategic thinking, and we have also talked about the realistic thinking. Now, this program runs every weekend until we are done with this phase, and I will communicate to you the next phase, what we will be going into. Today we have something very interesting. I need you to understand that every workman has his tools. Yes. So if you are here on earth, it means you are a workman. Remember, God created Adam in Genesis, and he put him in the garden and asked him to dress the garden. Now that means that everyone here on earth is a workman, and you are equipped with everything you need to weather the storms that will come your way, to move the obstacles that will come your way, and to remain at the top at all times. So welcome once again if you're joining me for the very first time, and if you have been with me on this journey, I appreciate you coming along, and I tell you, your life is not going to be the same again. You know why? Because knowledge is power. So today we're going to be looking at possibility thinking. Now, someone is asking, why is she taking us on the different patterns of thinking? Simple. Because every problem is a mental problem. The world today, we have lots of problems that needs to be solved. We need solutions to lots of problems. We need people that will provide answers to questions, solutions to problems. And if you must make a mark, then you must be able to change your thinking first. You must be able to know how to analyze problems. First of all, understand problems, and then analyze the problems, and then come up with possible solutions to the problems, and then look at the one that best fit and choose chose the one that will help address the problem. So at different points of you trying to solve a problem, these different thinking patterns, they come into play. And if you don't understand them, you don't know them, and you don't understand them to be able to engage them intentionally, you will not be able to solve your problems. So that is why we are starting with the different types of thinking patterns. So what is possibility thinking? It is allowing yourself think possibilities, moving away from the given, moving away from the available into thinking this could happen. All right? For instance, you are currently unemployed, or your business is not moving, and given the way things are currently, you know, in the world today, after the pandemic, the shutdown, and a lot of things just didn't go the way people anticipated it. You know, a lot of people are going through hard times, and you just cannot see the possibility of your business emerging again. Or you've probably sent your CVs to so many places, and all you get is a no, a no, a no, because even the organizations felt the impact. The whole world felt the impact of the pandemic. But I've got news for you today. You've got a tool that can help you overcome that obstacle. It could be the obstacle of unemployment. It could be the obstacle of your business not moving. All you need to do is engage your tool. Now, it is one thing for you to know you have a tool. It's another thing for you to be able to use the tool correctly. And for the purpose of this program, Making a Difference with Meg Inspires, the internal is what we are going to be considering, because we said the future, the destiny that you're looking for is trapped on your inside. I'm borrowing the words of late Myles Munroe, blessed memory. He said the future you are anticipating, the future you are looking for is trapped on your inside, and you need to find a way to release it. So you've got work to do. And that's why I said you are a walkman. I am a walkman. And guess what? Every walkman has his tools. And because the future is trapped on your inside, it means internally you have to find a way to release it. And one of the tools that God has given to us is your brain. It's your mind. You need to be able to know how to engage your mind during crisis, during storms, when faced with obstacles. All right, so that is why I had to take time to explain all of these, because someone might be asking, why is she, you know, making these videos? It is not just for the sake of information. Yes, it's not so that you add to what you already know. It's for application purpose. All right, so possibility thinking is you seeing possibilities. Now let me put it the way John Maxwell, you know, defined possibility thinking. He said it is a willingness to see possibility everywhere instead of limitations. Instead of seeing the unemployment, instead of seeing the business that is not working, you see possibilities. And in this video, I'm going to tell you the objective of this particular thinking pattern is to help you discover why people don't engage in this pattern of thinking. And I'm going to show you in a bit. All right, just follow me. When you have a possibility mindset, it means when a new idea is presented, you see a range of possibilities that might potentially be available. And if you don't have a possibility mindset, you will never agree, you will never align, you will never be able to see when a new idea, maybe you are in a team, or maybe in your department, or maybe in the family, you're always the one that cannot see that this could happen. So possibility thinking is you moving away from the available to the point where you're saying, this could happen if I could just believe it. All right. So when you have a possibility mindset, it means when a new idea is presented, you see a range of possibilities. You're not the one that is going to say that won't work. All right. You see a range of possibilities that might potentially be available. Options. You see options. Okay. So to be a possibility thinker, you must learn to be comfortable with failure. I just got someone there. Someone is like, why is she saying that? Yes. The reason why people don't engage in this pattern of thinking is because they are afraid to fail. So if I come up with an idea and it doesn't make sense to you, it looks too big, it looks too huge, you could hear someone say something like, you've got to be realistic sometimes. That is not doable. Because the person is working with facts. Remember, we talked about realistic thinking. And we said in realistic thinking, you weigh all options. You look at the positive, you look at the negative, you look at the neutral before you come to a conclusion. And I sounded a note of warning saying, be careful not to swing in the negative direction. Because when you swing in the negative direction, chances are the negative becomes the norm. And when the negative becomes the norm, because you're working with facts, you probably get stuck and get into depression and get frustrated. So you must learn to do what? To consider the negative and use it to measure the gap between where you are and where you're supposed to be. Now I'm just telling us a little bit of what, realistic thinking is, even though that's not what we're dealing on today, but you'll get to understand why I am explaining this. So a little bit of the considering the negativity will help you measure the gap between where you are and where you're supposed to be, and use a strategic thinking to come up with the best strategy that can bridge the gap. Now, in possibility thinking, when an idea is placed on the table, if you are a realistic thinker that is always swinging into the negative direction, you would never be able to see the possibility of carrying out that idea, that new idea that is placed on the table. It could be maybe the team lead or one of the team members of the team comes up with an idea. And I said something very striking that you must note. The reason why people don't think in this direction, most people don't embrace the possibility of thinking, is because they are afraid to fail. If you can deal with that fear of failure, I tell you, you will come up with massive dreams, and you will dare to be different. Yes, you will dare to be different. You will take the risk. And you know what? You don't pay to dream big. Come on, people. You don't pay to dream big. So you see the damage that the fear of failure has caused to a lot of people. It won't even let you dream. But you must also understand that dreaming is one thing, and implementation of the dream initiating the steps, taking the first step, all right, to the fulfillment of the dream is another thing entirely. So some people dream on paper, and their dreams never comes out of their books or their iPads or their laptops because of fear. Fear has gripped their heart. So until you are able to overcome the fear of failure, until you get comfortable with failure, you will not be able to embrace this kind of thinking. Now, someone is asking, how can she ask me to be comfortable with failure? Very simple. The fact that you failed doesn't mean you are a failure. Doesn't make you a failure. You only just discovered another way of not doing a thing. That's the truth. If only you can learn to fail. Now, when you fail, what matters is your reaction, your response, not the failure itself. All right? So these are two different things. Some people fell and they stayed down. Now that's their reaction to failure. Failure is not bad. Paul Martinelli in John Maxwell's team says failure is an essential part of the success cycle. So the success cycle can never be completed. It's never complete without failure. That is why I am saying be comfortable with failure. Because when you're not afraid to fail, you will dare the unimaginable. You will get into uncharted territories. You will dream big. You will take steps that you naturally wouldn't have taken, or people or in your family or friends, wouldn't have taken. So you must learn to overcome that fear of failure, because that's the reason why people don't embrace this type of thinking. So number one thing you must note to be able to get into possibility thinking, to be able to get to a point where you say to yourself, I can become anybody that God has created me to become. I can run this company. I just need to sit back and count the cost of the building, of the structure, no matter how complex it might be. I can work this job, no matter how complicated it looks. I can build that empire. I can make it work again. Right now, it might look like you're grounded, but if you get back to the place where, remember we said you must learn to allocate thinking time. If you want to do it daily, every other day, weekly, but please make it a routine, all right? Ensure that you create a place for it, because you need to shut out distractions. I've said that in my previous video and videos, and I'm still, mentioning it again, because it's never going to be possible for you to think your way out of a problem that is said to be a mental problem. Remember, we said all problems are mental problems. There is no problem that doesn't have a solution. Yes. So God created you as a workman and gave you a tool. And that tool is a working mind. You're just not using it. Let me illustrate something. If you open an account in the bank and you're not using the account, no activity, no transaction is going on, nothing is happening with that account. After a while, it gets into a state of dormancy, and it will take you reactivating the account for you to be able to use it. So the essence of this teachings is to help you reactivate your mind. You already have it as a tool. You can think if you want to. You're just not paying attention to it. You can solve that problem if you sit back to understand what the problem is. Most times, it's even worse when people don't understand that they have a problem, because they say the problem that when you understand you have a problem, you're halfway gone into solving the problem already. But it's pathetic when you don't even understand that there is a problem. It's bad. Yes. So if you must make a difference in your generation, in your society, in your organization, in your family, in wherever you find yourself, you will have to start by activating your mind. Put your mind to work. That's why we're talking about the different types of thinking, because when you sit on the table to solve problems, you will engage the different, at different phases of solving the problem, you find out that the different types of thinking, they come into play. And you must be very intentional about it to be able to know which to use, when to use, where the borderline is, how to use this. Like I said, it's one thing to know that you have a tool. It's another thing to know how to use it. For efficiency and effectiveness, you've got to know how to use it. It is not enough for you to have a mind that is dormant, a mind that is not active. All right? So this is going to help you to reactivate your mind and put it to use. And then the different types of thinking we're talking about will help you to know which to use, when to use, and how to use it. And today we're looking at possibility thinking. And I already mentioned it. I said possibility thinking, according to John Maxwell, is a willingness for you to see possibilities, not limitations. The limitations are there, but you're looking right through the limitations to see the possibilities. Now it takes an active mind to be able to see things that way. Guess what? Every crisis that comes your way is an opportunity for you to shine. Yes. Because you will appreciate light more when there's darkness. If you turn on the switch of a room, the light switch of a room in the daytime, you don't appreciate the light. But wait until it's dark outside. Wait until it gets to around 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30. Turn on the switch. You appreciate the light better than you turning it on at 7 in the morning. So the crisis you think came to destroy you, you can actually use it and do what? And rise. Because until you apply pressure to something, you probably will not see the content. If you want to squeeze out the juice out of an orange, you have to apply pressure to it for the juice to come out, the content to come out. Now, you would never know the things you can take, the storms you can weather, the obstacles you can overcome, until you learn to accept the crisis and then use the tool that God has given to you, which is your mind, to see through the crisis, to see through the limitation to the possibility that is right inside the crisis. This is where possibility thinking becomes very interesting. When you engage it, when you put it to work. And we are saying for you to be able to effectively use possibility thinking to solve problems, you must overcome the fear of failure. So number one, you get comfortable with failure. Number two, you get clear about failure. Know that failure is a part of success. Remember, I already said it, that you failed doesn't make you a failure. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You only just found out another way of not doing a thing. It doesn't mean you are a failure. So actually, it's your reaction. It's the way you react when you fail that matters. Not the act of failing itself. It's how you respond when you fail. So let me read to you what I wrote down here. I'm just gonna read it the way I wrote it. I said, okay. Before I read what I wrote, Thomas Edison said, and I quote, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." And that's the guy that invented electricity. And guess what? He refused to give up. The first time he failed, the second time he failed, third time he failed. He just kept going. You know why? Because he saw that it was possible for him to achieve what he had embarked on. He saw that the project was doable. But every time he couldn't do it, he just discovered that that was a wrong strategy. Remember when we talked about the strategic thinking, we said you come up with possible solutions and then you choose the strategy that will best fit into the goals that you have, which means all strategies are good, but not all can fit in. Do you understand what I just said? So someone comes up with a strategy. Oh, that's a good idea. So you just pick it up and keep it somewhere. Or another person comes up with, or you sit down and come up with multiple strategies. The fact that you cannot apply all the strategies at a go doesn't make them irrelevant, doesn't make them bad strategies. No. You just need to pick the one that will best fit in for that purpose. You will probably be presented with another opportunity that you will need to go back to your strategy database and pick another one that will fit in for that. So what Thomas Edison meant here, he meant that he was able to come up with 10,000 strategies that just didn't fit in with the goal he had before him. But guess what? He just discovered 10,000 methods of not doing a thing. You see why you need to be comfortable with failure? Failure adds to you. It doesn't reduce. It does not reduce from you. Some people think that failure reduces. It takes away from them. It doesn't. It adds to you. Now, until you start seeing failure in that light, you will never be able to break out of the box of that fear of failing. In the John Maxwell team, they say you have to learn to fail forward. All right? So that's why it's important for you to check your reactions when you fail. Okay? So I'm just going to run through this so I don't exceed my time. So I said, therefore, I would join my thoughts, my voice to say failure is simply initiating a wrong strategy that didn't fit into the whole piece. And that's from Meg Inspires. You are not a failure. You only just initiated a wrong strategy that did not fit into the whole piece. So what do? Do you stop there? No. You just discovered a new thing which is not going to work for that whole piece. So you put it in your database of strategies because you just might need it. You know how life keeps throwing things at you? So you've got to be prepared. All right? So first of all, you get comfortable with failure. Second, you get clear about failure. Understand that it's a part of the process if you really want to succeed. Now, I heard a man said something. He said if he's interviewing and the interviewee says he has never failed before, he will not hire that person. Because you're lying. There's nobody that has not failed. You have failed, at different fronts, in different endeavors. It may just be different from, one person to another. But the underlying thing I want you to note here is, what is your reaction towards failing? Whenever you fail, how do you react? Because if you really want to embrace the possibility thinking and be able to see through, like John Maxwell said, looking through the limitations and seeing the possibilities right inside the limitations, then you must understand that it is a part of the process. You just can't get to the other side without failing. So you must deal with that fear of failure. And then the last point is you get prepared for failure. It's going to come. It's going to come. Yes. Either ways, whether you are taking the risk or you're not taking the risk, it is going to come. So you must learn to prepare for it. How do you prepare for it? Get your response ready. If I try this and it fails, what will be my next course of action? You get ready. That's why I said your reaction matters. So if you must embrace possibility thinking and be able to, look through that limitation to see possibilities, weather the storms, overcome the obstacles, then you must be able to free yourself from the grip of the fear of failing. You must get comfortable with failure. I am not saying fall flat and lie there. No. That's why I said your reaction is what counts. Because everybody fails. But what do you do when you fail? So first of all, get comfortable with failure. Second, get clear about it. It's part of the process for you to get to the top, for you to be successful. Do you know how many ideas are locked inside a book, inside a passworded laptop, inside a passworded iPod or iPad, inside a notebook sitting on a shelf? Do you know how many ideas went to the grave with the people that came up with the ideas? And do you know why? Because they were afraid of failing. And I came today to tell you, don't be afraid of failing. When you fail, it doesn't make you a failure. You just learned another strategy that just won't fit into the whole piece for that particular project you have embarked on, but might save you tomorrow. So you just put it away someplace and keep going. All right? So I'm going to be wrapping up now with the above understanding. The above understanding will help you explore the world of possibility thinking. Please write it down. When you understand that failing doesn't make you a failure, it will help you explore. People will be wondering why you are not losing your mind, even in the face of crisis. People will be wondering how you can retain your joy. You haven't allowed the situation to tamper with your joy. Why? Because your perspective is different. You're not seeing yourself as a failure. You only just saw yourself as someone who was opportuned to learn a different way of not doing a thing. All right? So the bow of understanding will help you explore the world of possibility thinking without entertaining any fear of failure. You've got to free yourself from that box of, the fear of failing. I'm going to end with this now. God understood his position as God and envisaged creation in his mind before getting to work. You think he just came and said, let there be light. Let there be this. He thought about it. I said in the very first video when we started this program, I said God is a thinker. And I love him for that. And you know what? You are wired the same way. You are wired in the same way. Because you are created in his image and in his likeness. But your mind is not active. That's the difference. So you've got to activate it. All right? And that is why we're doing this. So you must learn to do the same. For nothing shall be impossible to them that believe. Mark 9:23. If you can believe, all things are possible. Wow, I feel excited about this. I don't know about you. I am enjoying this. I'm learning as I'm talking to you also. All right? So you've got to look through that limitation, look through that obstacle. There's a whole world of possibilities in front of you. But one thing just won't let you move, and that is the fear of failing. The fear of failure will stop you from taking the programs you're supposed to take to improve. The fear of failure will stop you from starting that business because you feel like, what if I fail? The fear of failure will stop you from starting that relationship because you're like, no, it may not work. The fear of failure will stop that organization from implementing that new idea that is on the table because they just cannot see the available, options, the possibilities in front of them. And you know why? Because the fear of failure has swallowed up every single possibility or opportunity that you should have seen. Littered, I'm going to use that word. Littered around you are opportunities on daily basis. Every storm is an opportunity for you to go higher than where you are currently. Have you wondered why the Bible uses the eagle, the bird, the eagle, to describe, the believers? Because they use the storm. They use the storm. That is the only bird that uses the storm. So while the storm is coming, they fly in the direction of the storm and the rest. Don't ask me where I got it from. I got it from late Dr. Myles Munroe years ago. Every storm that comes into your life, do you know why God allows a storm to come to you? He doesn't bring it. He allows it because he knows that there's something on your inside that the storm will bring out if you don't run away from it. If you don't allow the fear of failure to crush it. So please, I need you to take home today, make a decision. You are going to break out of the grip of failure just so you can see the world of possibility in front of you, so you can engage your mind, so you can think possibility. It doesn't really matter what every other person or what situation around you says. You've got to be intentional about this. So we go straight into our exercise, and this is where I am going to stop for today. So the exercise for today says write down 3 things, maybe 3 projects that scares you to death, that every time you think about it, you've probably had it for a while, but you just don't know how to start because you think it's just a wishful thinking. You don't see it as a dream. So you don't make plans. You don't draw up objectives that will help you, break them down into doable bits so you can start working towards the implementation of that plan. So I need you to write scares you a lot. 3 projects that you should have started before now. Let one of them be something you desire to start before the end of this month. Now, the month is far spent already. So write down something that when you're done with this video, you tell yourself, I am going to start. You may not be able to finish it, depending on, the complexity of whatever you are embarking on, but you can start. You can start with a plan. You can start with a research. You can start with questions. You can start by interviewing people. Remember, I said something. I said success will always leave you clues. You don't need to reinvent the wheels. You just need to study, because there's no journey you embark upon today that people had not gone ahead of you. So you find out the secret. You find out how they made it possible. So it may just be you, starting that phase of gathering the success stories of the people that told that line and are successful. The second one you must do is write down a project that you decide to start, maybe complete or start before the end of the last quarter. Write it down and take note that you need to actually start. For instance, if you say you want to go to school because you dropped out, or because for whatever reason you couldn't, then you know that you've got to write it down. You've been scared. You didn't know how to do it. So you've got to write it down. What does it take to go to school? If you are in Nigeria, you need to write JAM. If you need to get into the university, you need to write JAM. All right? So you write down the process. And you're not going to write JAM if you're not prepared. So you need to register for classes. These are steps that you need to list out. And you need to actually start taking those steps. Okay? And then, the last but not the least, a project you must begin at most first quarter 2022. So thank you very much for your time. We have come to the end of the session for today. And I am positive that you got something from this training or this video. Like I always would say in all my videos, listen to it over and over again. Get a pen and a book. Write down the points that needs to be noted down. Write down the exercise that I just gave. Take it seriously and start taking steps towards the kickstarting of the projects that you couldn't in time past because of fear embark upon. Start taking positive steps. It doesn't really matter the pace at which you go, but ensure you start. So thank you very much, and I will be coming your way again tomorrow by 4:30 with another interesting topic. Don't miss it. Bye bye for today.